Today we're diving into one of Nikon's most fascinating and often misunderstood cameras, the Nikon F3AF. It's rare, it's innovative, and it's a key stepping stone in Nikon's autofocus journey. Here are 10 things you need to know about the Nikon F3AF. Released in 1983, the F3AF was Nikon's first autofocus SLR camera. It marked Nikon's first serious step into autofocus technology during a time when the idea was still experimental. While it didn't revolutionize the industry overnight, it laid the groundwork for future autofocus systems. It bridged the manual focus legacy of the Nikon F3 with a tech-forward direction that would lead to cameras like the F501 and the F4. The system launched with only two dedicated autofocus lenses, the 80mm f2.8 and the 200mm f3.5. What made them unique was the inclusion of their own internal autofocus motors, long before that became the industry standard. These lenses were purposefully built for the F3AF and contain all the mechanics inside the lens. Sharp and fast for their time, they are now rare collector's items. Autofocus only works with the original two lenses made for the F3AF because the camera doesn't have an autofocus motor within the body to drive focus. Later autofocus systems used a screw drive or in-body motor approach, and the F3AF simply wasn't designed for that. So while other autofocus lenses might mount on the camera, they won't autofocus. The camera is entirely reliant on the lens to handle the autofocus. On the flip side, the two original F3AF lenses can be used on the Nikon F501 and the Nikon F4, which support lens-driven autofocus. Autofocus performance is best on the F4, which can drive the internal motors more quickly and with better accuracy. It's an odd bit of cross-compatibility that adds to the intrigue of the system. Autofocus is quirky. Once you half press the shutter, the autofocus runs continuously for 16 seconds and doesn't stop. There are two small buttons on the lenses which help you pause the autofocus if you hold them down. Interestingly, the lens motor is powered by two AAA batteries inside the DX1 finder, so even if you turn off the camera, the lens will continue to focus. This separation of systems is very early 80s innovation. The F3AF has a special finder, the DX1, which provides 92% frame coverage, down from 100% on the standard Nikon F3. That trade-off made room for the autofocus sensors and circuitry. Unlike other F3s, the DX1 has the focusing screen built into the prism, not in the body. If you want to switch out a different finder and put the DE2 or the DE3, you must at first put a separate focusing screen manually into the body. Manual focus is still fully usable on the F3AF, but it takes some getting used to. The DX1's built-in focusing screen lacks traditional aids like split image, and since the screen is not interchangeable, you're stuck with it unless you use a different finder. However, the DX1 does feature electronic focus assist indicators. Originally designed for the two autofocus lenses, these indicators also work with manual focus lenses, providing helpful confirmation when the subject is in focus. This system makes it easier to achieve accurate focus, even without visual aids, making it especially useful when you're using legacy manual focus Nikkor lenses. It does support AFD lenses, which rely on in-body motors for AF communication. The DX1 finder can be physically mounted onto any Nikon F3 body if you remove the finder and if you remove the focusing screen. While autofocus won't function, since the standard F3 bodies lack the electronic contacts needed to communicate with the DX1's autofocus circuitry, the built-in autofocus assist indicators in the finder will still work with the manual focus lenses, even though it's on a regular F3 body. The surprising level of compatibility makes the DX1 a bit more versatile than it might initially seem. Despite its unique autofocus design, the F3AF retains full compatibility with the F3 system accessories. You can use it with the MD4 motor drive for up to 6 frames per second. You can even use the MF4 250 exposure film back. That makes the F3AF a great camera for collectors and analog photography enthusiasts today, especially those who already own F3 accessories and want a unique autofocus camera that fits within the broader F3 ecosystem. Finally, Nikon had plans to grow the F3AF system. Prototypes were built, including a 50-135 f3.5 zoom in 1983 and a 35-70 f3.5 in 1984. But by the time those were ready, Nikon had already shifted towards newer autofocus camera bodies with integrated motors. These lenses never saw production, and the F3AF project was quietly phased out, leaving behind a camera that was both ahead of its time and a bit of an evolutionary dead end. The Nikon F3AF may not have been a commercial hit, but it was a bold experiment that paved the way for what came next. If you're lucky enough to own one, you hold a piece of Nikon's autofocus history. Thanks for watching. If you have any thoughts or questions, please share them in the comments below. If you like the content I'm creating, please consider subscribing. Thanks so much.